On Father's Day, my daughter's gift to her FIL uncovered an incredible lottery win of 120 meter. Mark had always worn his worn-out work boots with pride, knowing they carried the weight of countless sacrifices for his daughter Lily. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow on Maplewood's tree-lined streets, while the scent of barbecues wafted through the air. As Father's Day approached, Mark juggled his two jobs with the strength of a seasoned veteran and the heart of a devoted single father. Each night, after delivering packages until the sun slipped below the horizon, he would tuck Lily into bed, whispering promises of a better tomorrow. But this Father's Day felt different. Lily, with her wide, hopeful eyes, had been concocting a plan to surprise her dad. She remembered all the times he missed work parties and school events to ensure they had food on the table. With painstaking care, she saved up her small allowance to buy a ticket for his favorite lottery game when she spotted it at the gas station. It was a simple act of love, hoping fate might smile upon them. The day after Father's Day, as Mark sipped his black coffee, the news rattled their mundane morning. A single winning ticket for a staggering 120 million. The room froze and Mark's heart raced. It couldn't be. The reality hit like a freight train when Lily excitedly waved the ticket in front of him. For a heartbeat, he thought of all the things they could do: amusement parks, a new bike, even a college fund for Lily's dream of being a veterinarian. But as the initial thrill faded, the weight of their newfound fortune pressed down like a storm cloud. Gathered around the kitchen table, the atmosphere charged with excitement turned electric with tension. Family members had come pouring in, voices rising above the clinking of coffee cups. Should they keep it quiet or share with the community that had always looked out for them? Some insisted on upholding their traditions, helping neighbors who had lent a hand during Mark's toughest days. But Mark felt a pit in his stomach, torn between honoring his past and daring to dream for the future. "Imagine Lily's college," one sister urged, her eyes glistening with hope. "That's 120 million. We can finally lift ourselves up." But others, with faces twisted in concern, warned of responsibility. How easy it could be to lose sight of what really mattered. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the crescendo of conflicting opinions, Mark's heart raced as doubt took root. Was he really deserving of such windfall when the weight of their struggles shaped his very identity? The fear of losing everything, and the love that built their modest home, gnawed at him. The echoes of laughter turned to the painful memories of sacrifice. Just as silence threatened to descend, the doorbell rang. Each ring vying for attention felt like a heartbeat echoing through their home. Mark's breath caught in his throat, and he exchanged worried glances with Lily. A representative from the lottery company stood on the doorstep, clipboard in hand, ready to reshape their reality. Would this mark the beginning of their dreams come true? Or would it unravel the very fabric of their family? Mark felt the weight of the moment as he opened the door. The lottery representative, a bright smile plastered across her face, seemed to radiate the energy of the fortune that was now tangled in his grasp. "Mr. Jenkins, congratulations," she chirped. "You are the rightful owner of a winning ticket valued at 120 million. Lily's eyes shimmered like stars, filled with wonder and excitement. She pulled tightly at her father's shirt, clearly bubbling with joy, but Mark could hardly respond. It felt as though a fog had settled inside his head, clouding judgment and overshadowing the moment of triumph. He stepped back, the doorframe feeling like a barrier between his old life and an unimaginable new one. "Thank you," Mark managed to say with a shaky breath, the gravity of his life shifting beneath him. The representative stepped inside, clipboard poised, ready to begin a conversation about numbers that blurred the lines between dreams and reality. Each detail she rattled off felt surreal, a dizzying array of possibilities that could spin out of control at any moment. "Would you like to make a public announcement? Many winners choose to celebrate this moment." Her voice was warm, but Mark's heart sank further. He glanced at Lily, who was now practically radiating happiness. Her small face held the promise of endless opportunities. Yet his instinct screamed at him to protect her from the waves of attention and potential complications that fame could bring. We'll think about it, he said, finally swallowing hard. The representative seemed to take his hesitation in stride, moving on to discuss options for claiming the prize. As the conversation flowed, family members circled closer, their animated discussions sharpening the tension in the air. Voices rose and fell, visions danced of vacations, vehicles, and newfound comforts. Amid their enthusiasm, Mark felt a pull of reality. For every dream they spun, there were shadows creeping in: the responsibilities of suddenly having wealth, the fear of losing their sense of self. What about our neighbors? They've helped us so much, he spoke up suddenly, the weight of gratitude heavy on his heart. We should think about them. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathered crowd. Yes, let us make sure we stay rooted, one voice chimed. But then another family member countered, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. We can't just give it away. Feeling trapped in the midst of a tide he couldn't control, Mark excused himself. He stepped outside, drawn to the quiet lap of the wind against the trees. The warmth of the sun contrasted sharply with the turmoil within. How could he honor his family, celebrate this windfall, and retain the soul of who they were? Lily appeared beside him, her small hand slipping into his. Dad, it's going to be okay, she whispered, squeezing his fingers. We can do this together. We just need to figure it out. Her innocent faith was a balm to his insecurities, but doubt still loomed. As they stood there, heartbeats synchronized beneath the vast blue, he realized the questions had only just begun. Mark looked down at her and mustered a smile, but a single thought loomed large. What if the choices they made now would shape not just their future, but the very essence of their family? The moment hung in the air, a delicate balance tipped toward possibility. They had won the lottery, but in that moment, Mark understood that navigating this new life would require more than money. It would require wisdom, heart, and perhaps a little faith in the unknown. And just as he began to speak, the urgency of his thoughts crawled forth. Lily, what do you think we should do first? As she pondered, the weight of their world expanded, and the enormity of the decision ahead loomed just beyond their grasp. Would they be able to hold on to their values in each other as they embarked on this uncertain journey? Mark took a deep breath, grounding himself as he stared into Lily's wide, trusting eyes. Her innocence wrapped around him, a shield against the tumult of expectations swirling back inside the house. First, she echoed, her brow furrowing as she thought. We should help Mr. Thompson, right? He has been so nice to us. Mark felt a rush of warmth at her suggestion. Mr. Thompson, their elderly neighbor, had always looked out for them. He'd lent them tools, offered advice, and even shared meals when times were tough. That's a great idea, Lily, he said, smiling down at her, reminded of the caring heart she inherited from him. Family values first, wealth second. Just as that thought settled in, the door swung open. The laughter of relatives tumbled outside, their joy infectious, yet Mark felt a wave of resistance. He wasn't ready to dive headfirst into the chaos. Let us take a walk, he said suddenly, surprising even himself. Lily's face lit up. To the playground? She asked, bouncing on her toes. Sure, to the playground, Mark relented. He needed air more than fresh air, he needed clarity. They strolled together through their quiet neighborhood. Sunshine filtered through the trees, dappling the sidewalk with golden spots. The laughter of children echoed farther down where the swings swayed in the breeze. For a moment it felt like before, simple, untroubled. Just a dad and his little girl, with little more than the day ahead. Daddy, she broke the silence, what if we get new swings? Or a treehouse? Or even a pool? Her face was a canvas of dreams, each idea spilling out brighter than the last, but his heart twisted a little further. With every dream came an echo of reality. A pool would mean higher costs, potential envy. Those are all fun ideas, sweetheart, but Mark hesitated. We should think bigger. Like helping others? Lily's eyes sparkled, understanding dawning. We can make Mr. Thompson's garden pretty. That's perfect. We can make a difference and it'll keep us grounded, he affirmed, taking her hand tighter in his as they walked on. In the distance, he spotted the playground, the vibrant colors calling out like a siren. Children were squealing with delight. A pang of nostalgia hit him. How often had they spent weekends in that very spot? Mark felt the weight of lost memories pressing in. He wanted to shield Lily from the pressures that might arise from newfound wealth, to keep her world just as vibrant and innocent. Yet a shadow of doubt nestled within. What if they declined the fame and fortune others would chase? What if that choice pushed them further into the shadows? As they arrived, Lily dashed toward the swings, filling the air with laughter. Mark watched her, soaking in the moment. That pure joy, the freedom of childhood, was worth protecting. But as his heart swelled with love, a gnawing thought crept up. Did that mean they'd have to turn their backs on possibilities that could change their lives for the better? In the midst of this internal tug-of-war, a familiar figure stepped into view. Leslie, one of their closest friends, waved excitedly, clearly having seen their approach. Her smile faltered just a moment when she noticed Mark's distant demeanor. "Hey, you two. You won't believe what everyone's talking about." Mark's stomach tightened. The weight of curiosity from the rest of their friends and family often felt heavier than the jackpot win itself. Could he deflect it, or would he have to face the very conversations he was trying to avoid? "Let me guess," he replied with a soft laugh, trying to shake off the weight of the moment. "Something about us moving to a mansion? Close," Leslie replied, her enthusiasm bubbling. "They think you're about to make a big announcement. Should we start the party?" Mark blinked, his heart racing. He didn't know if he was ready for that. Ready to share their hopes and dreams, the uncertainties wigging around like worms in his stomach. Would they all agree? Could he rally them to prioritize what truly mattered? Just as he was about to respond, Lily tugged at his shirt, her eyes filled with excitement. "Daddy, can we tell them? Can we?" Her innocence shifted everything. Maybe it all depended on how they framed this journey. "Lily, wait," Mark paused. "Together if we want to." As the looming decision pressed forward, Mark's mind spun, thinking even faster than his heart raced. Was it time to share this crazy gift with the rest of the world, or did secrecy hold the right answer back? And with that, Mark realized they were on the brink of not just announcing a win, but confronting the very essence of what it meant to be a family in a world doused with the weight of fortune. What would they choose next? Mark felt the weight of Leslie's excitement hovering in the air. The playground, once vibrant and buzzing with laughter, now felt like a spotlight shining down on him, amplifying the chaos brewing in his mind. He had come here to escape it all, yet here it was, almost demanding to be confronted. "Mark." Leslie's voice broke through his spiral of thoughts. "You okay?" He forced a smile, but inside everything churned. The thought of a big announcement felt heavy. What if they weren't ready? "We should decide together," Mark finally said, looking down at Lily with gravity in his eyes. Lily bounced on her toes, undeterred by his hesitance. "Okay. Then let us tell them all about Mr. Thompson's garden." A laugh escaped Mark, lightening the mood. Of course. She was thinking about the good, the heartwarming. "Let us not make it all about us right now, sweetheart. We can help Mr. Thompson first, and then maybe we'll see how everything else falls into place." Leslie nodded, her enthusiasm flickering. "That's a great idea. Plus, I think everyone would love to help you two out." As they approached the swings, Mark saw his little girl climbing high, her laughter piercing through the tension. For a moment he was reminded of the limitless possibilities of childhood. Still, uncertainty loomed larger than life. What would their friends think? What would they expect? Would their relationship shift because of this windfall? Finding his footing, Mark focused as he pushed Lily on the swings. The rhythm was mesmerizing, a gentle reprieve amid the turbulence inside him. "You know, Lily, it's important to remember that not everyone has it easy like us. We've got to give back, right?" "Right," she shouted, soaring high. The wind whipped through her hair, her delight infectious. As he pushed her higher, an idea sparked in his mind. Maybe we could turn part of our win into a community garden? Something Mr. Thompson and other neighbors can enjoy. Lily's eyes lit up like fireworks. "Yes, we can have flowers and vegetables. And we can invite everyone for a picnic." Mark felt a wave of relief wash over him. This little dream was gradually turning into something much more significant, something that could unite their community. But jealousy could bubble up even from the best intentions. Leslie chimed in, "That's actually brilliant. A community garden. It'll give everyone a chance to come together not just for fun, but for growth." But as excitement swirled, a nagging voice within Mark insisted that a community garden could distract from deeper needs. Could this be the answer to their growing concerns about their wealth? Moments later, Mark noticed a few familiar faces approaching from the crowd gathering near the playground entrance. It was their neighbors, clearly curious, glancing their way. The first to reach them was Miss Henderson, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Heard you guys won big. What's the scoop?" Mark felt his pulse quicken. Here it was, the moment where they'd have to face the change that lay ahead. While he grappled with how to respond, Lily piped up, "We're helping Mr. Thompson first. Then we'll make a garden for everybody." The cheerleaders of the neighborhood turned their attention to the little girl, smiles bursting forth. But the word garden hung in the air, begging for deeper meaning. Suddenly, an idea ignited within Mark. A garden would be a way for them to connect, an invitation for dialogue about wealth, about what really mattered. Perhaps it could be a foundation for education, sharing, and togetherness, all the things he wanted to keep in the forefront, even amid fame. But Leslie's eyes conflicted between wonder and worry. "That sounds lovely, Lily, but what about the plans everyone is waiting for? The announcement?" Mark felt the pressure rising. Would people stand behind them if they decided to weave their fortune into service? Or would they retreat under the guise of envy? Turning to Leslie, he whispered, "I think we should embrace the chance to share our story, but frame it in who we are, what matters to us. That's our announcement." Before she could respond, the crowd's murmur grew louder, a mix of excitement and expectation leading to an inevitable question. "Mark, what are you planning to do with the money?" In that heartbeat, Mark locked eyes with Lily. Her expression radiated faith and trust. He took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. They had the chance to make this their story together. As he opened his mouth to speak, the playground echoed with eager eyes and expectant faces. Mark's heart raced as he prepared to unveil their vision. But just then a shadow passed over the park. He glanced up, momentarily distracted, and his stomach dropped. A luxurious car pulled up, its polished exterior gleaming ominously in the sunlight. Several unfamiliar figures stepped out, clearly affluent and self-assured, an unsettling contrast to the cheerful hometown aura. Mark's mind whirled with uncertainty. What did they want? And how would it change everything? He swallowed hard, suddenly aware that the biggest surprises were still ahead. What lied before them in a moment of potential chaos? How would they navigate this new chapter of their lives? Would they manage to keep the heart of their family intact? Or would the invitees soon transform their dreams into something darker? Mark felt the energy shift around him as the unfamiliar figures approached. His mind raced. What did they want from him? He caught Leslie's worried gaze, her fingers fiddling with the hem of her shirt. The laughter of children faded into a background tune, replaced by the pounding of his heart. "Hold on, Lily," he said, stepping forward as if to shield his daughter from whatever was coming. The visitors exuded an air of confidence that was almost intimidating, as if they were ready to claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. "Mark, right?" one of the newcomers said, extending a hand. His suit was crisp, his smile calculated. "I'm David. We've heard rumors about your win." "It's true," Mark replied cautiously, taking the man's hand. "We're just trying to figure things out." Leslie caught up beside him, a protective mother ready to defend her family. "We're not looking to make any big announcements just yet," she interjected, her voice steady despite the tension. David laughed lightly, but there was no warmth in it. "Oh, but you should. You have something very valuable now. There are always opportunities that come with a windfall, you know?" Mark felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "We're more focused on community initiatives right now." His voice wavered a bit, but he squared his shoulders. "Community, yes," another stranger chimed in, a woman with sharp features and an impeccable dress. "But what about your financial future? You've got to protect your assets. There's a lot of talk in town. We could help you navigate these waters." "Thanks, but we're okay," Mark insisted, his voice firmer. He glanced at Leslie, sharing a silent moment of understanding. They didn't need these strangers telling them how to live their lives or define their vision. Lily, sensing the change in atmosphere, tugged at her father's arm. "Can we go back to the swings, Daddy?" Mark knelt next to her, brushing a stray hair from her face. "In a moment, sweetheart. Just let us talk." The tension hung like a dense fog. The visitors exchanged glances, their smiles fading as their interests shifted. "Listen," David said finally, "we can help get you started on the right track. A garden is nice, but think bigger. Think investments. Opportunities are fleeting. I want a garden, Dad, Lily exclaimed, her voice ringing out like a bell. And I want to help Mr. Thompson. The sincerity of her wish pierced through the uncertainty that churned inside Mark. That was it. That was their North Star. Lily's right, Leslie echoed, her voice softening a bit but still firm. What we want is to make a difference here, in our community. We're not interested in just building wealth for ourselves. The crowd watching from the playground murmured in agreement, while the visitants looked slightly taken aback. But wealth can give you a voice, the woman interjected, her eyebrow raised. Don't you want that? Mark took a deep breath, feeling the fire ignite in his belly. Having wealth doesn't define us. It's what we do with it that counts. We've been blessed and we want to share it. We want to create connections and support our neighborhood. Leslie stepped closer to him. Our vision starts small and personal. A garden, a community hub where people can gather. That's our way. The crowd around them began to cheer softly, their excitement palpable. Mark felt the certainty settle in, warming him. Maybe they could face this challenge together. As the strangers stepped back, their expressions turning to mild disappointment, Mark felt a pulse of exhilaration wash over him. He turned and looked around the park, the hopeful faces of neighbors, the laughter of children, the sun casting a warm glow over everything. But just as that sense of triumph started to settle in, another voice pierced through the air. Mark. Leslie. You need to see this. It was Mr. Thompson, emerging from the crowd with urgency in his expression, clutching something tightly in his hands. The atmosphere shifted again, the air charged with a new wave of curiosity. What is it, Mr. Thompson? Mark asked, apprehensive yet eager. As Thompson drew closer, Mark's heart raced. Was this the moment everything changed once again? What could this new urgency mean? And would it propel them closer to their vision or only complicate things further? Mr. Thompson approached them, the weight of whatever he carried pulling down on his shoulders. He held a crumpled flyer in one hand, his other hand anxiously brushing over his thinning hair. Mark, you won't believe what I just found. The growing crowd around them hushed, curiosity piqued. Mark's eyes darted from the flyer to Thompson's face. He could feel the tension crackle in the air. Is it about the community hub? Did someone pledge support? Not exactly, Thompson replied, his voice dropping to a whisper as if he feared the surrounding crowd might overhear something too big to contain. He smoothed out the flyer and turned it toward Mark. It's a notice about the old Foster estate. They're doing a clearance sale, and look at the listing prices. Prices? Leslie furrowed her brow. What does this have to do with us? Take a closer look, Thompson urged, his excitement bubbling through the caution in his voice. Mark squinted at the flyer, the words blurred by anticipation. It was a list of properties that might be on the verge of being sold. Scanning down the sheet, he caught glimpses of familiar names intermingled with astonishing prices, dilapidated buildings and overgrown lots that once thrived with purpose. Some of these properties they've been abandoned for years, Leslie said slowly, as realization lit her features. We've talked about potential spaces for the community hub. Thompson nodded vigorously. Exactly. Imagine what we could revive here. We could transform this neighborhood. With the funds, Mark's heart raced, but not just in excitement. There was dread lurking underneath. They had just turned down offers from formidable businessmen. We haven't made any decisions on how to use the winnings yet, he said carefully, glancing at Leslie. There's no rush, David interjected again, stepping back into the conversation. Just think about it. Property can be a gold mine. This could open doors for you, doors you didn't even know were there. You mean turn us into what investors? Leslie retorted, eyes narrowing. We want to be part of our community, not faceless landlords for profit. But the chance to invest in your future, the woman chimed in again, her tone sharper this time. You'd be missing out on something monumental. Mark felt a heat rise in him as he rubbed his temples. What are we supposed to do? Cash out on something we've dreamt about our whole lives? He turned to the crowd, searching for support, for clarity amid the chaos. Lily suddenly tugged on his shirt. Daddy, can we help those people too? The ones who own these old buildings? Her innocence cut through the pressure, pulling the room back into focus. That's the spirit, Thompson encouraged, gesturing with enthusiasm. We could even reach out to them. Find out how they're struggling. Provide them with real options. Mark swallowed hard. Was it possible they could be both? A community hub and a means of supporting existing businesses? The strangers seemed to shift again, frustration evident in their faces. They had come with plans of their own but found their hopes tangled in the community's fabric. Mark, David said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You need to realize that without the right maneuvering, you risk losing everything. The fortune you've received, it can slip right through your fingers. Mark felt the burden settle heavily on his chest. Would they be able to juggle both ambitions? And keep their values intact? Unsure, he felt the ground shift beneath him. Maybe we do need to think about our next steps carefully, Leslie suggested, her voice firm yet gentle. We can still focus on our community and be smart about it. Just then, Thompson's phone buzzed violently in his pocket, drawing everyone's attention. He pulled it out, his expression dropping. It's the city council. They've been trying to reach me about zoning issues concerning the old Foster estate. Mark's breath hitched. He exchanged a glance with Leslie. This could lead them in a whole new direction or deep into trouble. Do we go now? He asked, heart racing. The urgency was creeping back, tightening every muscle. Letith. I think we have no choice but to find out what they want, Leslie replied, determination in her voice. Mark faced the crowd one last time, uncertainty swirling within him. Was this the turning point that could either fulfill their dreams or unravel everything they had built? The stakes grew higher with every step they took toward the unknown. What new revelations awaited them at the city council? Would it bring them closer to the community they dreamed of, or thrust them deeper into the world of money and power? The air outside the community center was thick with the scent of impending rain, and Mark could feel his palms sweat as he stepped into the small meeting room at City Hall. The fluorescent lights flickered above, casting an unsettling glow over the assembled crowd. He glanced at Leslie, her brow furrowed, and his daughter Lily, clutching the hem of her shirt. Each person's face was a mix of curiosity and anxiety. Mr. Thompson paced at the front, his eyes darting between the crowd and the door, waiting for city officials. They'll be here soon, he reassured them, though Mark sensed the same tension in Thompson that gripped his own heart. The sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway, and the door swung open. 3 council members filed in, each exuding authority. Mark's stomach turned. They were a reminder of the bureaucratic realities they faced. Thank you all for coming, the lead council member began, her voice steady. We know the topic today is sensitive, particularly regarding the Foster estate and its future potential. Leslie leaned closer to Mark, whispering, sensitive? That sounds ominous. Mark nodded, his heart racing. They know how much we care about our community. The council member continued, as you may know, there have been concerns around zoning, and what type of developments will be allowed on the Foster property. Your interest as community advocates has not gone unnoticed. Mark felt a flicker of hope. We want to reopen those spaces to everyone. Create something welcoming. Another council member, a gruff man with a furrowed brow, crossed his arms. That requires lengthy negotiations. The city intends to sell much of that land to developers who wish to turn a profit. Leslie's expression hardened. And what about our community? What about the people who have lived here for generations? Those are valid points, the leading member acknowledged, giving Leslie a nod. However, it's a different world now. People want mixed-use developments with commercial interests. We just need your support before we can proceed. Mark interjected, support? For pushing out longtime residents? We want a community hub, not a shopping plaza. Your desire is commendable, the councilwoman countered. But you have to face facts. The city needs money. For schools, roads, the list goes on. Mark felt each word hit like a stone. He glanced at Leslie, who stared back, her eyes fierce with determination. Lily shifted beside them, her small hand reaching for her father's. Maybe we could find a compromise, Leslie suggested, her voice calm yet unwavering. Can we propose something that includes low-income housing and business opportunities for local families? Something that honors the community's history? The council members exchanged glances, and there was a brief pause. The air felt charged, as if everyone recognized the weight of the moment. Those conversations haven't happened, the gruff man said slowly, but I'd be open to discussing it further. Mark's breath hitched in his throat. Hope dared to rise anew, but the shadows of doubt loomed. Could they really negotiate something that served both the community's needs and the city's? Then let us make it happen, he found himself saying. Just then, the door burst open again, and a new face entered, an older woman with a worn-out smile. I heard you were meeting about the Foster estate, she began, her voice shaking slightly. I used to live in that area. My family lost everything when the city redeveloped it. You don't want another mistake like that. The room fell silent, every gaze turning toward the woman. Tell us more, Mark prompted, his heart racing. Her presence was a reminder of the very people they aimed to support, their struggles, their stories. This was no longer just about buildings or zoning regulations. It was about lives and dreams. As they listened to her recount her family's experiences, the urgency in Mark swelled. This moment could define everything. Would they be strong enough to hold their ground and protect their community from being swept away by profit-driven interests? Or would they let fear dictate their choices, straying from their vision for a better future? With each word spoken by the woman, Mark realized something important. The fight was just beginning, and this might be their chance to truly stand together. But would they be ready for the powerful forces standing in their way? The silence in the room was crushing, holding everyone captive as the woman spoke. Her voice trembled as she described the loss of her childhood home, the memories that haunted her of laughter in the yard, family dinners, and the scent of blooming flowers. Each word seemed to flow into Mark's heart, stirring a mix of anger and desperation deep inside him. Leslie leaned forward, her expression open and intent. How did it happen? She asked. What did you do when they came to take your home? The woman paused, swallowing hard. They offered us money, of course. But it was never enough. We had to leave everything behind. My parents fought, but they didn't stand a chance against the city's machinery. Her eyes glimmered with unshed tears. All for what? A parking lot? A strip mall? Mark clenched his fists, feeling a fire ignite within him. This was personal. It wasn't just about the community center or the old playground, it was about preserving history, about standing up for each other in a world that too often chose profit over people. He looked around the room, noting the faces of his neighbors. There was strength in their wide eyes. The fear was still there, but so was determination. We need stories like hers, he said, voice rising. We need to share this experience. Our community deserves to be heard. Mr. Thompson shifted his weight, uncertainty etched on his face. But he nodded. That's right. We can put together a proposal. We need to emphasize that this is about finding solutions that benefit everyone. Just then, the faint sound of rain began pattering against the windows, a soft percussion that felt oddly synchronistic with the growing resolve in the room. Mark felt every raindrop, like tiny beats reminding them of time against an impending storm brewing outside and within their fight. What about a community meeting? Someone suggested from the back. Let us invite everyone. We can gather stories, involve families who lost their homes. Show the council what really matters here. It was an idea, and it circled the room like a fresh breeze, invigorating those present. Yes, Mark chimed in. We can show them the human side of development. We need to illustrate what will be lost, and we also want them to see what we can build together. His heart raced as he glanced at Leslie and Lily. He felt encouraged knowing they were all in this together, that each voice mattered. We cannot let them take away what makes this community so special, he urged, passion surging in every syllable. Courage surged among those gathered as more voices chimed in, supporting the idea of a community meeting. They spoke of being proactive, of creating a present and future for their children that felt safe and inviting. But just as the tentative spirits began to rise, the gruff council member interrupted, his voice booming. You can gather all the stories you want, but without guarantees, without funding sources, it won't matter. We run a city, not a charity. The room fell into another hush, tension slicing through the air. Dread crept back in, a reminder of the uphill struggle ahead. But Leslie stood unyielding. Every story matters. Every life is worth fighting for. We can't back down because it's hard. We owe it to everyone who fought for this city to make it better, and not let it fall into greedy hands. As Mark watched Leslie speak, a swell of admiration washed over him. Her fire lit a spark in others, echoed in the resolute murmurs of agreement. Determination hung in the air, raw and electric, fueling them forward. But as they began to outline a plan, doubt nagged at the edges of Mark's mind. Could they really engage the community and turn their voices into a powerful force? What alliances could they forge to stand against the looming developers? With the rain continuing to tap on the windows, echoing like a heartbeat, Mark looked at the faces around him, a mix of fear, hope, and determination. He knew they had to take this step forward, but the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. Would they transform their community's pain into a powerful movement? Or would the city's machinery roll over them yet again? Let us find out, he whispered to himself. The weight of their future settled firmly on his shoulders. The rain intensified outside, a reminder of the storm brewing. But it was within those walls that the real tempest began to take shape, a battle not just for land, but for heart and soul. The meeting buzzed with energy, voices rising and falling like the rhythm of the rain outside. Mark felt a strange blend of anxiety and exhilaration. Every idea shared sparked new thoughts. Each story shared crackled with emotional electricity. He could see it in the eyes of those around him. They were hungry for change, for action. As the discussions flowed, someone suggested forming smaller teams to handle different aspects of their plan. Mark found himself volunteering for outreach, seeking to connect with more community members, while Leslie would focus on gathering the stories. Lily, after a moment's hesitation, eagerly joined them. Her heart was in this fight. The wind howled outside and droplets danced on the windows, but inside the walls of the community center, hope began to bloom. In that space, memories mingled with determination. They weren't just fighting against something. They were fighting for the essence of their lives. With the rain drumming a steady beat above them, the group broke into action. Mark grabbed his coat and decided to head outside, hoping to recruit others walking past the center. Maybe a few minutes in the drizzle wouldn't hurt. Each person he talked to could mean one more voice added to their cause. As he stepped outside, the cool night air hit him. The world beyond the center was dark and damp, illuminated only by the flickering lights of nearby street lamps. Mark approached a few individuals who stood underneath an awning, seeking shelter from the rain. "Hey, can I take a moment of your time?" he started, his voice rising above the rain. They turned to look at him, curiosity piqued at the sight of his soaked hair and eager expression. "I'm part of a community effort to save our neighborhood. You know, the way things have been changing around here." He paused, gauging their reactions. The woman nodded, while the man shifted uncomfortably, likely thinking about the looming developers. "We're organizing a meeting. We want to hear from everyone about what this place means to them, not just as numbers on a spreadsheet." There it was, the moment when their fear became a collective voice. Mark's heart raced as he spoke. He sensed their skepticism thawing. The woman took a step closer, nodding. "I've seen what they're doing to our parks," she replied, her voice carrying weight even above the sound of the rain. "My childhood memories are in those places." "It's all of our memories," Mark agreed. "Come join us. Every story counts." He saw the flicker of understanding in their eyes. They could feel the pull of something bigger than themselves. With every person he spoke to, the flickers turned into flames of possibility. After what felt like hours, Mark returned to the community center, exhilarated. All it took was a spark, a moment where old wounds were voiced as a shared ache. They could do this. They could gather enough stories, enough voices to rally against the machinery of the city. Inside, the atmosphere had shifted. Leslie was deep in conversation with someone new, while Lily animatedly waved her hands, describing something that had them all laughing. "What did I miss?" Mark asked, unable to hide the grin spreading across his face. "Just convincing the folks in the corner to join us. They lost their bakery last year." "You should talk to them," Leslie replied, excitement dancing in her eyes as they exchanged ideas. Mark felt something click into place. This wasn't just about fighting for a piece of land. It was about recognizing the heartbeat of their community, honoring what made it whole. But just as they started to brainstorm their next steps, the door swung open, a gust of wind pushing past them. A figure stumbled in, drenched and wide-eyed. It was Barry, the elusive council member who had interrupted them earlier. "What do you want?" Mark asked, memory of the earlier encounter flooding back with a fresh wave of frustration. Barry took a breath, and for a brief moment, anticipation hung like the rain around them. "I've been hearing things," he started, and in that moment Mark's pulse quickened. What was he about to say? What new challenge or perhaps unexpected ally might emerge from the storm outside? Barry stepped inside, his hair sticking to his forehead, a raindrop trickling down his temple, and Mark narrowed his eyes, trying to gauge his intentions. There was something about this moment that felt heavy yet charged with possibility. "I've been in touch with city officials about the Foster estate," he said, shaking off the rain like a dog. "And let us just say they're interested in a public response to community organizing." "What's that supposed to mean?" Mark asked, his heart thumping heavily, teetering between concern and curiosity. Barry looked around the room, spotting Leslie and Lily, and then returned his gaze to Mark. "What you're doing here, it's drawing attention. And that attention can be a double-edged sword." Leslie jumped in. "We're just looking to make our voices heard. We want better for our community." "I know," Barry said, holding up a hand, "and it's commendable. But for every ally, there's an enemy waiting to pounce. This is the kind of talk that makes powerful people uncomfortable. You're risking complacency for action." His brow furrowed as he continued. "They want tea like this." Mark felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "So what are you saying? We shouldn't pursue this?" "No, I'm saying be prepared. They're going to fight back against you, against all of us. But if you push forward, there might be a way to negotiate benefits for the community and opportunity for real change." Lily, unable to grasp the heaviness of the conversation, tugged at Mark's shirt. "Daddy, are we still going to make the garden?" Mark knelt beside her, putting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to make the garden." He returned his gaze to Barry. "What do you suggest we do? Take the momentum you have now and rally it. Organize a neighborhood meeting, gather stories, but also under a banner of action. Make it a celebration of community spirit, not just a protest. That way you'll draw more people in and ensure the narrative stays in your control." Mark let his mind race. He had never been afraid of work or of taking chances, but this was shaping up to be the biggest challenge yet. Could they really galvanize a community around their shared stories and protect what mattered? And if they push back, then you shine a light on them. Expose the corruption, rally the support, and let your passion turn into a movement. If the city sees that the people want tea back down, they might think twice. Mark felt a surge of determination. "We will not let this slip through our fingers. Not this time." "Thank you for the guidance, Barry." Barry nodded, as if appreciating the weight of the moment. "I'll keep my ear to the ground. Good luck." He stepped back outside, leaving the door swinging gently, a reminder of the storm still brewing beyond. Mark turned to the gathered community members in the room. "All right, everyone. Barry might be right. Let us organize a meeting, a celebration. When we come together, we don't just present problems. We offer solutions. Let us show the city what we're made of." Excitement spread like wildfire throughout the room. Ideas bounced around: the type of food to serve, the stories they'd share, the energy they would create. They would be a unified force. As Mark observed the gleaming smiles and animated chatter, he felt renewed hope bloom within him. They were not just a group of people fighting for a piece of land. They were a community ready to uplift each other. Together, they could bring about change. Meanwhile, Lily's eyes sparkled with visions of the garden, and Mark knelt to her level, beaming. "You're at the heart of this, honey. Your idea can inspire everyone to come together." Lily's grin widened. "And we can make it beautiful. Can we plant lots of flowers?" "Yes. And vegetables," Mark said, feeling the warmth of excitement well up within him. "So everyone can enjoy it just like you said." As they planned late into the night, filling the whiteboard with ideas and names of people to invite, Mark realized that the fear that once gripped him had lifted. They would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. Days turned into weeks, but the spirit of community persevered. At their scheduled gathering outside the community center, faces from all walks of life joined in. There was laughter, love, and shared stories, testimonies that unveiled their struggles and dreams. Lily's eyes lit up as Mark introduced her to everyone. And in that moment, surrounded by neighbors and newfound friends, she shouted, "We're going to grow a garden." The crowd erupted in applause and cheers. Mark's heart burst with pride, seeing the positivity and hope that their journey had sparked as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Mark knew deep within him that voicing their fears and ambitions had laid the foundation for something monumental. It wasn't just about winning a lottery or plans for future buildings. It was about nurturing the values that define them as a family and a community. In the coming weeks, momentum built. Neighborhood focuses shifted into not just opposing forces but embracing the opportunity to create pathways for education, gardens, and community involvement. With every small triumph, Mark reflected on how beautifully transformative life could be. Yes, the world around them could be like a storm sometimes, filled with uncertainty and darkness. But armed with love, trust, and a shared vision, a garden blossomed, and so did their community. As Mark looked around, his heart swelled with joy. He had risen from the depths of fear into a new light of hope. They had not only resonated with their community, they had drawn strength from it. Together they had disrupted complacency and sparked a movement, rooted firmly where they belonged, side by side in a place they loved. This was it, the emergence of something truly beautiful, not just for them but for generations to come. And just like that, everything changed. Now I urge you, this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. If this heartwarming journey inspired you, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to be part of this amazing community.